Oscar, you're my imaginary friend.
Ah, you're just an imagination. I'll be honest, I'm going through some stuff right now. Kind of freaking out right now. I think the listener, I guess this podcast would be just me talking, pauses, and then me sort of responding. It would be a
The
riveting
comedic
episode.
timing is off the charts if I'm just cut out. It would be funny for the listener to realize I'm just a pantsless banana.
I think it would add little to the comedy. Dare I say it would make it more serious.
It probably would. It'd probably make it more
That's
somber.
how freaking wacky we are, huh? Pretty wacky, huh? Not like these ifs, huh? These guys are pretty tame. We're wacky as hell.
We'll talk about it, but these ifs sucked. They sucked.
Don't spoil it. My name's Oscar.
Oh, my name's Carl,
This
and
is
these
who
ifs
is-
sucked.
who's watching this?
Who's to know what we're called?
Welcome to Who Would Watch This, the podcast where we watch a film, chat about the film, and then try and figure out who would watch this.
Today we are talking about if, and if you don't know what an if is, if stands for imaginary friends, and has a 6.7 on IMDb, a 48% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 3.2 on Letterboxd. Oscar, what's the plot?
A young girl who goes through a difficult experience begins to see everybody's imaginary friends who have been left behind as their real-life friends have grown up. Oh,
Well, yeah.
okay. We're getting a bit more out of this. Carl, should we explain this? I don't think this was I think many people will be like, wow, you guys are reviewing this pretty quickly. What's the vibe? It seemed pretty average. You've been doing a bit. You want to talk about this bit?
I don't think it's a bit.
Okay.
It's just...
I think it might be the most putrid thing you've ever done. You've actually made our friend group, dare I say, pretty toxic. At any beat, you'll just put on the trailer. You'll keep just, morning of, just sending over new if posters, all that sort of stuff. And somehow you have convinced 5 other people to go watch this movie with us.
We had a great time at the cinema, didn't we? We just us and a bunch of friends watching If. It was us all in our late 20s watching If with families.
Nothing weird about that.
Nothing weird about that.
Carl, before we jump the if, huh? Jump the gun, but if, huh?
Is that something?
I think it's something.
I don't think
it's
that's
something. Should we go back in time before we'd seen the movie to see who we think would watch this?
I guess, yes.
Oh, yeah, I
Let's
guess.
do it. Let's do it. Oscar, we're going to do If next week.
Yeah.
And I'm deeply excited about it. I have been obsessed with If for months.
What was the origin? Like, where does it? Because I feel like genuinely, we've kind of it's disgusting. We found out this is just what you do with films every kind of 4 months. The first one was Hop, just the animated Easter Bunny film.
Hop was early in our friendship.
Very early. We were like, well, this will never get old. The actual joke of Hop got very old. And then you were like, don't worry, I know what the issue was. The movie was the issue.
It was.
So I'll just pivot.
It was the fact that I knew for a fact we were just never going to end up watching Hop. But I knew if I went for a cinema release as a bit, it would culminate in everybody being at the cinema. So I'm pretty excited that I'm actually forcing some people to go watch it. But the trailer for this came out ages ago. And as somebody who likes the Quiet Place movies and enjoys The Office, I was baffled by the idea that John Krasinski's follow-up directorial feature to the Quiet Place movies is a family film.
A bit of a blank check as well, surely.
Yeah.
Like pretty good. Like, you don't
Right?
love horror, you go a bit nuts, you know?
And seemingly from the trailer, at least that first one, it looked like a terrible movie. Really awful. And then I got really fascinated by the film when I watched a trailer reaction from just like 2 people who I've never watched again.
We should get into that space, you know?
Yeah.
I think this podcast thing's done. I think we should just sort of animate, react
I
to
could never do
trailer.
it. I could never emotionally bring myself to be somebody that's like pretending to be into a trailer other than silently watching for 2 minutes and then at the end going, yeah, okay.
I think that's it. Just like, okay,
Yeah,
well,
well,
let's
that's
see
fine.
how
That
it
was-
ends. Let's
that's
see
a
how it ends
trailer.
up. Let's see how it ends
That's
up.
not indicative of the movie a lot of the time, so I guess we'll leave it at that.
I would love that. Would be a great YouTube video. Just every single trailer, just that.
Yeah.
Except for
I
F.
guess
Just,
we'll have to
oh my
wait.
God! Holy shit!
But we saw these 2 people reacting to it, and they were laughing at this thing like it was the 9th coming of Christ. It was like they were just watching the funniest trailer ever made, and they were just so intrigued and heartwarmed by it. And I thought, how did we get here?
Yeah.
And from that moment forward, If has been on my mind, and if it's on my mind, it has to be on everybody else's, because I'm egotistical that way. Oscar, I'm so sorry that you're going to have to watch If this week.
Yeah, no, it looks pretty lukewarm. I guess the only thing I can really think is John Krasinski had that, what's that, show during COVID that was very whimsical?
Good News Weekly?
Yes, I guess that was just, a lot of reaction. He was like, all right, that's the vibe. We're going for whimsy. I don't know what to expect. I'll be honest, my entire viewing experience is muddled by you. I don't know. I feel like genuinely, while sitting next to you in the cinema, I think there might be raucous laughter at every bit that was in the trailer. So
I don't know what I'm gonna think.
I don't know. I forget it's an actual film. It's gonna be an hour 40. I think when I sit down, it's gonna be actually it's gonna be surreal. It might be like the first movie I've ever seen. It might be like the train coming to this audience. I'm gonna freak out.
I'm gonna be floating. I'm gonna be floating with excited in my chair. I can't believe it's happening, and I don't know whether obviously the reviews are bad, which is why we're doing it. But yeah, I just didn't think. I'm so glad that we're doing it. I'm just so happy.
I hope it's got something to talk about. Otherwise,
it will. It's the new John Krasinski movie. He's our generation's Charlie Kaufman.
Oh,
it's
everyone says, you got a Krasinski on? That's a water cooler moment. You've got to gav around, guys.
He's the new Peel or Gerwig.
Carl, who do you think would watch If?
Me and you next week.
Forcefully. Okay, cool.
Who do I actually think it's going to be? I mean, when you watch it, you just go, it is so imaginarium. No, so Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium core. It's so Odd Life of Timothy Green.
Crazy no one's ever said that core. No one's ever gone down that. Imagine on studio executive John Krasinski, we want to capture what Mr. Megorium couldn't. We want to capture that bubble, okay? That's what we're going for.
You seemingly forgot the emails we got when we did Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium, and people were like, a childhood classic, how dare you? Knowing If is going to be somebody's that's my hook.
Yeah.
That's my... Everyone knows Hook ain't good, but some people are like, Hook's the best thing ever.
God, kids are stupid. I feel like our letterboxes are filthy. Just no, this one's really... You were a dumb child, okay? I guess dumb children would love this one, huh? Yeah, that's right. Go for the jugular for kids.
Oh, they probably are. Yeah. Dumb children are going to suck this up. Children that have never had an imagination are going to be like, is that what it's like? Ryan Reynolds is there. I also posited this thing ages ago, and I think this was actually maybe this was the reason that I was bringing it up, is I showed you guys the trailer, and then I just said, do you guys not think Ryan Reynolds is just going to be an imaginary friend?
Yes.
And that was,
I think we all went... Yeah,
it'll be
that's
that,
it.
right?
It's that.
Yeah, and I think that was the thing that spurred it on. God, this movie's really lived rent-free in my mind, and I've done such good PR for it, Sydney-wide.
You've really pushed quite a few people. You've earned about 1% of the box office, I think. I think John Krasinski should give you a little letter, huh?
It's pretty good. That's pretty good. That'll probably come out being about $1 million, If it's profit, that ain't good. This movie cost 110. Here's the scene. We're settling into the cinema. The lights are going down. The children around us are elated. Their parents annoyed they're there. Oscar.
Can I quickly sidebar? There was a woman at the back, I shit you not, just writing another screenplay in the back while her kids were watching it. Carry on, though.
Oscar and everybody else that I went with were my parents, and I was the child about to be taken on a whirlwind adventure. I was so excited. You wouldn't believe what I was in. The fact that I'd convinced so many people to come, and nearly more. Nearly
you
more.
Almost
Oscar.
had them by the grasp, and then we were like, guys, this is a bit that's gone way too far. Get out while you can.
It's good. I have a really good habit of being able to sell, it's all about it's how you do your voice. They're like, well, what's it got on Rotten Tomatoes? And you go, it's got a 44%. It's got a 44. And they're like, is it a box office hit? Yeah, it is. It's made $100 million on a $110 million budget. And people get confused and they're like, is that good or bad? And they don't know. And then they have to go check it out themselves.
They gotta check it out.
Yeah, God, man, what a film. Oscar, this was bad.
Yeah, not fun. I'm glad we got something to chat about. I will say
we've got a lot to talk about, in my opinion.
I walking in, really sitting down, and then really having the moment of oh, this is what we're actually locked into, really hit me and my other friend. We were both really broken. And I think it was us being parents and seeing you pretty still eager really rubbed salt in the wound. It wasn't good.
We were a good group. People took photos of me in front of the If posters.
God,
wasn't that good? And then I got a picture in front of the big standee, and I was near Lewis the bear. Remember Lewis the bear in the film?
Before we get into the characters,
we love Lewis.
Let's get into If. Okay, let's jump into If. Huh? Let's get our teeth. Let's gnaw into If.
Oh god, it begins as all good children's movies do begin. Someone dying of an indescribable disease.
I'm talking vague as hell. We're talking the start of Up, but you don't really know what happens, and there wasn't a nice narrative to
We're talking they're putting a bandana on their head, and so you have to make a big assumption about what they're dying of.
They haven't given them, like, real bad makeup, but they're just kind of like, ooh, you're a bit pale.
That's right.
You know, your kid can't.
They've overexposed the shot for sure, and they've removed their eyebrows, so you can make an assumption.
We find out that John Krasinski and his wife has died.
His wife is dead.
Yeah.
And immediately I went, this is lazy. This is really lazy already. How much more lazy could this get? And the more lazy thing they've got is, and now John Krasinski's sick as well.
Okay, let's just talk about John Krasinski. He's the director. Good for him. I think he's people like him.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah.
Like, some sequences visually enough, he's shot them well.
The directing's
fine. He's a fine director.
Yeah.
There's parts where it's like the way that they've done some of the set design and the way he's shot them and the way it's like the feet trickling through like it's like he's apt enough at directing a feature movie 100%.
This is like functional.
It's so functional.
I just think all the writing and the choices that he's made that is where it's like falls apart. It's made. Dare I say, I think some scenes have been cut or just has been sanded off. It seems like there's a longer film.
This is not a movie. This is not a cohesive film.
No.
You were in a constant state of confusion the entire time.
Yeah.
I was deeply unhappy for such a long run time. But, I mean, what a film.
Anyway, John Krasinski, we introduced him. He's doing...
John Krasinski?
I don't know.
Heightened whimsy.
I really despise this kind of whimsy. Her mom just died, and he's doing a bit with a mop and an IV drip. I don't think it lands as much. Have some class, have some dignity, treat it with some respect. Huh?
I knew it wasn't landing, and you could tell the daughter character was pissed off with it. She's
best
like, we're in a state of mourning.
The best acting. What's the actress's name?
Kaylee Fleming.
Kaylee Fleming is giving a performance whenever John Krasinski does this sort of like, I'm doing a bit of a mop. No. He's doing Robert Williams, but without like the accent, just kind of like, dry and fun. Doing a bit of a Jim. But she gives us just like, Dad, just stop. And it's really, this is acting.
It's really cutting.
Yeah.
Like you could just tell it maybe was improv and it was just, she was a scene partner and hated what was happening. Was like, I actually can't work off of this. You need to stop, John.
Yeah, come on.
Jonathan,
pack it in.
You need to stop.
Pack it in.
I really love the restraint that Jordan Peele and Greta Gerwig have to not put themselves in their own directed movies.
Yeah. Oh, because they're actors.
Yeah.
Yes. I thought you just pick them out of a hat.
Yeah.
Like, I guess. Yeah.
No, but it's like actors turn directors, and I'm like, this is one of those movies that to me, John Krasinski really needed to remove himself from.
Well, it's weird because I think John Krasinski and Ryan Reynolds almost fit into like, it's weird they're in the same movie. They're kind of the same guy. So it feels overcrowded. And I really do think he felt like almost like a hauntly ghost. I did think the twist was going to be that he was also already dead.
Everybody's a ghost. Everyone's imaginary. Kaylee's in an asylum. It would have hit. It would have hit hard.
What's the horror of it all?
So cruelly, the movie's gone, and now the dad's dying, and it's like, what's he dying of? And they, again, do not want to say for whatever reason. This is so lazy. Just say what it is.
Give it a real technical one. He's got a swollen testicle, and it's real grim. Check out the X-ray. It's gross.
It really confused me because it made me think he'd just caught what the mum had, and maybe the mum didn't have maybe they'd swapped disease, like maybe
it happens. Well,
it was like a blood disease
in the movie. In the movie, it's called. He's like, I've got a broken heart. He reveals with his Letterman jacket. Reveals check out the stencil I did, broken heart. I don't know if this would not help the daughter.
I think it's going to be egg on our face if this is a thing, which is why I'm just going to bring it up now. But I don't know if in America, maybe that symbol means you're going to have like a heart transplant at a hospital.
I thought it was just,
and
like,
maybe it was a show don't tell, but we don't have it in Australia. It's like the Garfield movie was before, so the Garfield movie trailer was before our screening of this, and it's so funny to have that line. Are you a survivor? And it's like, well, clearly you've never been at an Olive Garden where they've run out of breadsticks.
Yes.
And it had no reaction because why would anyone in Australia know what an Olive Garden is?
They gotta localize it, you know? They gotta localize it. Like,
especially in an animated movie, you can do that.
What if the McFlurry machine breaks at Macca's? That would have landed.
Yeah.
That would have landed.
That's their only one. What if the Jack was hungry at Hungry Jack's?
Very clever. John Krasinski. So anyway, Kaylee goes, all right, I guess I'll go live with my grandma. The film kind of doesn't really know where to start or sort of where to end.
I think the movie should have started here without any context, and it should absolutely open with the line, your dad's in New York to get surgery, so you're going to be staying with me for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Cool.
Because you don't get that proper context.
No.
You don't really understand.
It's weird what they decide to give you, like, information-wise and then kind of restricts. It feels like they're giving everything at, like, a snail's pace. Just like, here's a bit of exposition, but we're going to hold on to a bit of mystery. It's like, I don't know, guys. Just, is he dying? What's the vibe, you know?
Is the grandmother the mother of John or
I think the mother.
I think the mother too.
I think the vibe was weird. Like John Krasinski was like, "Mom, I'll come see ya."
But they both had such a sense of whimsy about them.
Yes.
So it confused me because Kaylee
Here's
Fleming's
the thing.
character is
Whimsy-
flat out I get that she's 12, but she is so devoid of any personality as a character.
I think this is the fault of like John Krasinski, the writer and director, is that it's gone down. All right. With this whole world's whimsical, so how about our protagonist is kind of just a blank slate and really doesn't get given anything except like a pretty intense like monologue cry. But I just think like I think that's where these like kind of kids whimsy films fail, is that the protagonist kid always nothing to them and almost just like, hey, here's our POV character, you're a kid, you can relate. Like give them like a bit of a flaw, a bit of like something, but they kind of go, oh, she's grown up too fast, but she's not really.
Because the movie does this thing which is saying she's grown up too fast because she had to grow up when the mum died.
Yeah.
Right? And now the dad's dying, and so she's just
got a double grow up.
Yeah,
now
she's got a double
now she's
grow
like
up.
30 and she's just things aren't looking good.
But it's weird because the movie never really posits as to why the ifs have returned for her.
Okay, well, let's get into the concept of ifs. Ifs are imaginary friends. You can have an imaginary friend when I guess you just create one from your brain, and then at a certain point you don't need it anymore. It just sort of goes away from your mind, but the if stays in this world, in the mortal world.
Yeah.
But no one can see him.
Yeah.
That's the rule, right?
That's the rule.
Yes.
Okay.
She can see them all.
She can see them all. Everybody's if.
Yeah.
So, this place, is she seeing every imaginary friend that ever is or was? Or is she just seeing the ones in America? Or is she just seeing the ones in New York?
I gotta tell you, I think we're meant to believe it's at least 60 years old. Do we think the film doesn't go like, okay, the ifs are gonna die if they just not remember for too long? But do they? And they're just not showing us that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it seems like they're all in retirement homes and they're like, God, I'm on edge door. I want to kill myself. Like they all seem depressed.
They are. They're all terrible. It's weird. John Krasinski has assembled like comedic voice actors and decided to make them all all Eeyores.
Yeah.
This movie's just full of fucking Eeyores. They're all miserable little pricks being like, where's the child that used to think of me? They don't need you anymore. Die.
Just
Go
die.
away.
Just die.
But I don't understand. So I'm going to tell you right now, the movie never comes out and explains to us why there were ifs. What is the point of an if?
I think it's just like a coping mechanism.
Yes.
That's why through context clues.
This is what I think it's trying to say, but it never does it
Yeah.
very well. And I think a better demonstration that the movie should have gone down is saying, I think at a certain point as a child, you personify this thing to help you, right? And then eventually you get to an age where you don't need an imaginary friend anymore.
Yes.
Because I think that imaginary friend has just become a part of how you are as a person.
Yes.
So it should get to a point where the if just becomes a part of their being.
Yeah, lovely.
Right?
Yeah, love.
So what you should be left with are the ifs where their child
Didn't achieve,
didn't
overcome.
ever cope.
Yes.
And so they need them.
There's a lot
still.
of routes. I mean, like, it's
There's
a bit...
all of the ingredients for this movie to be cohesive and good and endearing and interesting are there. But I think
that's the interesting thing. Like, there's like, there's 5 different paths. You go take one, and the film kind of stumbles through like 5 of them. And then at the end goes ta-da, and they didn't achieve any of them.
Yeah, because it's like if Kaylee Fleming made up an if to help her when the mum was dying, and then needed the if again when the dad was getting sick.
Could be great. It's like, oh wait, I was done. Why am I back here?
Yeah,
great.
That's right.
Yeah,
it should be ifs being confused as to why they're still around.
Yeah,
not so much as to why they don't have a kid.
They're just kid. Yeah,
yeah, you know.
Well, it's just upsetting. Anyway, our main character
also weird. I'm just sorry.
No, you jump in.
Ideas wise, also weird. We don't get to see the creation of where the ifs are staying. It should, like, everything's pre-established.
As you're saying, like, they're, like, motel or, like, the actual creation of
it should almost be, like, because this movie has no adventure to it. We should really be seeing her come up with where should all the ifs be going when they haven't got a home.
Yes, 100%.
Let's find them this big home where they get to stay there and cope until their child needs them again. Like, it should be the entire creation of how ifs function.
Yeah.
Rather than... They've already got all their home, their place. They've got their own rooms. They know where they are.
Really, what do they do? Anyway, let's get into it. So, okay, Ryan Reynolds is almost the if keep taber.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's just a man that loves a vest.
He just loves a vest, loves a bit of suspenders. We've also got Blue. He's the big Steve Carell one. And
he's purple though.
He's purple.
He's purple though, but he's named Blue.
He's named Blue.
It's pretty.
The guy.
It doesn't land.
It doesn't land.
No child enjoyed that joke.
No, we do have a litmus test of what kids enjoyed. So it's great.
You know what really hit? Amy Schumer farting.
Oh yeah,
that got a massive
Listen, here's
laugh.
the thing: we can't even like knock her down. It landed for us as well.
It was
all
really
7
big.
of us chortled.
The 7-year-old in front of us was like, "I'm not laughing because it's a gummy bear. I'm laughing because of the voice work."
Yeah. Was artistry.
It was just good artistry.
Yeah.
They said that line reading there is going to be my Robin Williams Aladdin. I went, damn, child.
He was very vocal and I had to shush him. I had to shush him down. He was causing a scene. He kept commentating very loudly.
He was such a young Cecil and/or Ebert.
Okay, we got Blue, we got Ryan Reynolds, and we've got Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Yeah, the ballerina one.
Yes.
I gotta tell you right now,
it's weird.
That was the freakiest if. All the ifs are so freak, but none of them are like fun. You know, they're not a fun freaky.
The bit, like, check out the trailer, guys. We're doing most of it. Anyway, so the marshmallow one's like the one that, like, that's fucked up. Yeah. That's real fucked up. But these little, like, animated doll ones are really upsetting. Anyway, it's a cruel marketing team because you look at all these ifs and they go, right, the big one, the bug, and that's it. That's it.
You don't get to learn, care about, or enjoy any time with any other if. None of them. And all you want to do is spend time with, like, Christopher Maloney's character, which is like a CIA detective bouncing off of walls like a Looney Tunes character.
I think Bradley Cooper's a glass of water. Fun.
Great.
He's got one bit, he's like, the guy was thirsty and now I'm stuck in this mortal plane. What a fun concept.
Those were the only 2 parts I laughed.
Yeah.
That was the other thing I'm going to knock against this movie. This is such a deeply serious movie for no reason.
Yeah.
For some reason... John Krasinski thought he was being poignant, and thus Louis Gossett Jr. has to be an old teddy bear that just acts like he's Red from the Shawshank Redemption. Like, it's
so whimsical at every moment that, like, slow piano gets a try, and it's just overwhelming to the point that every scene's just that slow piano.
Oh god, the score's having to carry a lot of the movie. They're going, you're not enjoying this. Here's a really big score to help.
Anyway, so Kaylee kind of rocks up, goes, right, what's our motivation?
Why are you back? You're all freaky.
Yeah, I don't really love you. What's our motivation? And the film kind of goes, go to the hospital and maybe you'll figure it out.
Yeah. It's funny because you would think that as she needs these coping mechanisms while the dad's sick, a very clear... The other thing about the movie that really frustrated me is there's no structure. There's no, like, countdown to anything.
No.
They should establish when the surgery is, so we're counting down to it, so we feel like we're getting to a natural climax.
Yes.
Because the movie doesn't have a villain. There's no time constraint where things need to be done.
Yeah.
It seems like they have an infinite amount of time to do anything.
Well, John Krasinski looks pretty spry, I'll be honest.
John Krasinski's dancing around with a fucking mop. He does not need a heart.
He's like, I have to say, in the hospital, he looks pretty well.
He looks so well.
I think he popped back in.
This is the healthiest I've ever seen John Krasinski look. Ever. I'm not even joking. He looks healthier here than he did in that Michael Bay movie, and he was in a war for 13 hours.
Are you saying he looked well in that war?
No, he looked much better here, and he was filthy in the war one. But it was one of those things where I was just like, why aren't we saying she's spending more and more time with the ifs and less time with the dad in the lead up to the surgery because she's getting more afraid?
Which just feels like that every 10 minutes, you're like, here's where the film's going, and the film goes, nuts, there's nothing here. I guess we'll try and figure out something. And you look, you go, we're 80 minutes in, you got to do something.
The movie's throwing characters. We've got this other little sick boy in the hospital from Minari.
Yeah.
For the sake of not looking up the child's name, let's just call him Minari.
Yeah.
I know the Minari's the plant, but still, Minari. I think he was actually also in Nope. I think he was the kid in Nope.
He was in Nope, yeah.
Let's call him Nope.
Let's call him Nope Minari.
Yeah? Or we can call him Little Stephen who's also in Minari.
Wow.
Isn't that lovely?
Is
Do
he
you reckon Jordan Peele just really liked Minari?
Maybe, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe Steven was like, this guy's got some acting chops, and John Krasinski was like, give me him now! And he's just, the kid's fine.
Oh, he's fine, but he's given nothing to do.
given nothing. It's
He's
like-
given so much to do in Minari and Nope.
God.
When he acts against that chimp in Nope, God, that's good. That's a good scene. God, how much better is Nope than this movie?
Show a kid that, and the kid in front of us was always raving on about Nope. He was kind of chatting our ear off.
He was going off his chop. He was just going, man, this is my Aladdin. You'll see Nope. Looked around at us, and I nodded blankly at him, and he went, respect, and put out his fist to me, and I didn't know what to do.
No.
I saw it as a threat, and I cowered.
Yeah, it was cowardly, but then the film kind of kept going. He was holding out for a while there. It was kind of an awkward pause.
Yeah, the mum then turned around and was like, stop bothering the people behind you, son. And he turned around the mouth of him and just said, Mum, you fucking bitch.
Yeah, spat her right in the face.
Leave me be. I'm watching If.
God, and she was a calm and cool mother. Beat the shit out of that kid.
Yeah.
Really went to town.
She
with that.
calmly put him in his place, and he loved it. He loved it. He was thriving on it. I gotta tell you, the mess of our audience, God, everything went down.
It was rowdy as hell. It was rowdy
so
as
rowdy.
hell.
Anyway, so Kaylee constantly goes to the hospital to see the dad.
Yes.
Her flower budget as a child, she's popping bouquets of flowers left, right, and center.
They're riveting things, and they're not imaginary. We would know imaginary
We would
friends.
know. Imagine if she was carrying imaginary flowers the entire time.
Well, I mean, I don't know what. Because do you have to have like a soul to be an imaginary friend, or can you just imagine things?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because at the end, I'm just really confused by the whole world.
Yeah, it seems like a cruel place to be an if, and it seems like a very disposable world.
It's so
Maybe there is a recycle their ifs.
bizarre that they think the ifs need to be recycled, because people will come up with the if that they need at the time anyway.
Yeah.
So what's the point?
Well, one kid just wanted a glass of water. I didn't even want a friend, really.
Yeah.
So it just seems like any want kind of gets materialized into an if, which is a horrid life for these guys, really.
It's weird that John Krasinski's been going around town being like, this is a live-action Pixar film, because it's so clear that it's taken a bunch of shit from Inside Out and not done any of it in a mature or
It's
interesting
taken
way.
a lot from like Foster's Home for Imaginary
Yeah.
Friends. It's taken a lot of things from everywhere and gone, all right, thoughts. And it really doesn't know what to do. Because I think at this point, then Kaylee's like, right, let's go to the motel and then let's make it nice. We should also talk about Ryan Reynolds throughout the whole of this film. Ryan Reynolds is not doing his Deadpool thing, not doing the third wall
Yeah,
thing.
I thought I was going to be like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah.
Same fucking bullshit. I'm going to have to watch it again in Deadpool in a couple of months.
Yeah,
Like,
this is a different performance. It seems tired. It seems like he's rocked up. We then find out why at the end of the film. Do we twist it?
yeah,
right
let's
now?
just talk about the twist right
You
now.
nailed it. You got it.
He was imaginary.
He was imaginary. Every other imaginary friend is a cartoon. He is just a clown. The reveal's kind of fun at the end. But his whole demeanor is just very... what do we got to do? It's really saps the energy out of this film. Which is odd from a man like him, who is normally quite charismatic and, dare I say, injects a lot of energy into a film.
It's weird. It's like he's taken his performance out of Buried and been like, that'll work in If. Like,
Hey, John, remember when I was buried in a coffin for hours on end? Yeah, I think I want to bring that energy to Blue.
yeah, I think the panic I had and the despair, like if I was just pulled out of the Buried film and I did that here, would that work? Would Kaylee Fleming love that performance?
Here's the thing, though. I think his energy is exactly what an if should have. He should be, dare I say, suicidal and pretty much given up on everything. It's like, what was my purpose? To make this girl feel good, cope for maybe a couple of months, and now I'm locked into this eternal plane where no one can see me. I can have no function. I'm just meant to watch them not need me for 70 years.
Nothing is more uncomfortable. Sorry. Nothing is more uncomfortable than knowing her imaginary friend was a grown human man.
It's odd.
It's horrifying.
John Krasinski, I think pretty good at horror. He has like a family picture of like Kaylee, mum and dad. It then gets a reveal of this clown on the other side, and the score again. Everything's doing a lot of go. Hey, this ain't creepy, guys.
It is,
but
the
it's terrifying. It's terrifying.
It's one of those. Once you realize that he was a clown, there is a scene where Kaylee's like kneeling on a floor with her eyes closed, and like the balloon animal comes into frame, and I was just being like, please be in full clown makeup. Please be in full clown makeup, Ryan. Ryan, please be in full clown makeup. And they show you, and he's just in a tall hat, and you go, cowards, you fucking cowards. He should be a clown. Let him be
They
a
discussed
clown.
it. They were like, what range? And I think at that point, it's just like,
You
listen.
knew Ryan was like, my character from Buried would never be a clown.
He was in a very tense situation. I don't think he had the time nor the patience.
Anyway, but as just an idea, it doesn't make any sense that he is imaginary as well. It's one of those twists that is a twist for the sake of having a twist and
Yeah.
serves no purpose in the story.
Well, I just think maybe it would have been more interesting if it's like, hey, he's our POV character. He goes, oh shit, Kaylee, are you also cursed with seeing all these ifs? I'm sick and tired. I don't want to do anything. And it could be her going, hey, let's do some whimsy and let's get these ifs back into the thing. And he has to learn, and that's the parallel for the dad, you know?
Well, it's like one of the characters needed to have disappeared mid-movie, like end of the second act for the failure bit. That's just like, wow, we really need to buckle up and try and save them, otherwise we're going to lose another one.
It's a weird,
like
it's a weird like $110 million because it's like a kids film that really does not want to really show anything. I think that's of a detriment of the budget, right?
What's the turning points in these movies? Because I think every time I talk about this movie, when we were talking about the people that we saw it with, we were all throwing out ideas that would have been better, and the broad strokes are there. So you do wonder if because it cost $110 million, that I don't know.
I just think I have a bit more faith in the people behind it to be like, I think you guys should have like a narrative. It's odd they don't have one.
Yeah.
It's just strange.
Yeah.
They're really throwing like at the end, where are we at now?
We're in the middle, so we've decided that we're going to try and save Blue, right?
Yes.
So Blue's child is a croissant coffee-loving businessman.
Yeah.
And there will never be a better performance this year than that guy from SNL whose name I can never remember.
Oh, he's been there for a while.
He's
Curly
been there for a
hair.
while. Yeah. When he lifts his head because he's smelt a croissant from across the room, hilarious. Like if there were stink lines and there was a pie, it's so spot on.
It's a great performance. He floats slightly. It's a subtle move, but God, he's a good actor.
So then Blue goes up and is like, I love you, buddy. Go in there and give him hell.
Yeah.
And he glows.
Yes.
What's the glowing
We
mean?
don't know because we were like, okay, so Blue's made this man glow. He's inspired him. At first instinct, you're like, okay, that's child whimsy. He's got it back. But then Blue's still
around.
He's
He's
still
now
around.
not with him.
Yeah, he's glowing a bit and he seems content.
So that was one of those things where I went, that should probably be your moment where it's like he becomes one with his...
Yes, and maybe a bit of characteristics of Blue are in him. It's like,
he gets that piece of him that he forgot about,
Yes.
But then Blue's hanging around everybody else the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
He's not gone. He's not helping his mate out. He's just around. So you wonder, did they succeed?
I don't know what this is for an if. Is this just like a fleeting high? Like,
Yeah.
is this like a hot
Is
heroin
this a
high?
nang?
What is it, a
Is
nang?
this just a helium high? Is this just a bit of a puff?
I'm going to tell you, when Blue loses oxygen to his brain and gets that fleeting glowy high, I wanted to be Blue. But then the come down, God, when he crashed, it was a harrowing 20 minutes.
When they were glowing, I was like, that looks fun as hell. How do I get me one of them?
Yeah.
Put that in a pill and smoke it.
But they're chuffed. They're like,
Yeah.
all right, now the film's going to be us getting all the ifs, and we're going to get them linked up to their kids.
Yeah, and there'll be a montage of them all getting linked.
Yeah.
Nope.
Nope.
We're just going to do other things.
Yeah.
We've already skipped over it actually, but the first 40 to 50 minutes of the movie is them finding out you just can't put an if with another person.
Yes. It's
What
a
a
sad...
pointless endeavor.
Well, it's kind of could be a fun scene, but they go, all right, let's get a bunch of the ifs to the little Minari child and go, hey, can you see the imaginary friend? He goes, I can't see them at all.
Ironically, the Minari child keeps going, nope, 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 can't see any of them, nope.
This is where we get...
It's a good bit for Alan Kim fans.
I
remembered his name.
That's huge. I'd say this like middle part of the movie is where we see all the names. Like you see the marketing, it is literally I think 30 pretty big A-lister names, and I think this middle part is where you go, okay, there's the line they read, and I guess they got a small cut of the film.
There's no excitement or action sequences, not actions, but just adventure sequences or
I
anything
think the
like
best
that.
you get is the
montage, which is them changing the scenery, right?
Yes.
And it's them, they're showing off, and there's some good visuals here. I really like Ryan Reynolds coming out of the painting.
Yeah.
That looked really good, and I like the makeup of the black and white still on him. And
Yeah, there's some
everything.
fun light work
There's
as
some-
well. They're running through the things.
But I don't know why this is happening. Kaylee Fleming's like, they go and meet
doesn't
the
seem
old
like-
bear, and the old bear's like, I'm 93 years old, you can do whatever the fuck you want to this place. And Kaylee Fleming's like, then welcome to my mind palace, Ryan. And Ryan's like running in fear, and you don't know why.
No, I
Is he
thought
scared of
I
change?
thought he was like a stickler. I thought that's what they were going for, but it doesn't seem like that's his motivation at all. I don't know why he would be angry. I think he'd be bitter at her, right?
Is he annoyed the entire movie she doesn't remember him?
Yes.
Is that the
I
way
think
he's
that's-
playing
I
it?
think that's why he's playing it like
Because
that.
it's like he's been buried.
Yes, he's been buried in her mind, her mind palace,
Deep
And-
in the mind.
Oh, but don't worry, it's a remodeling.
Well, because I wasn't sure if it was like because when she's remodeling and he's running away
Yeah.
in this wacky scene where she's walking around like Magneto in the X-Men movies, being like, "At your peril!" Like-
Coin smash! She's like, oh my god, she killed that if. Jesus Christ, I didn't know she had the power. Okay, guys, we've got to stop her now. And she's like, no, Ryan. And she crushes him to a cube. And God, it's gruesome. But he's a great man and he nails the role. He's put in a little coffin and he's buried. And he does not give a performance like anything I've ever seen before.
It's actually phenomenal,
Yeah.
guys. You gotta watch If. The turn it takes in this scene.
When we were talking about
Wow.
there's no turns that it's taken, this was a turn.
This was a
and
big
it took
turn.
it. And
It took it. The child in front of us was shocked. Shocked he was. He
I
loved
can't
it.
tell you. The mother, blood still on her knuckles, just like, listen, son, you check it out because after this, we're not watching Nope.
Yeah, I heard the kid utter, "This is my 7."
We didn't
This
get
is
that
my
con-
Fight Club, actually. That makes more sense with the twist.
You know who that kid
This
was?
is my Fight Club.
David fucking Fincher.
It was
Could you
David
believe
Fincher.
it?
We were watching it in front of David Fincher's inner child, and he was fucking miserable. He was like, I've got a mank in me.
I like it's not even his inner child. It's like his if was nowhere to be seen. There's got an inner child, there's an if, and then it's just David Fincher directing. Like, oh goodness, what am I doing?
What if there was a panic room and we used a lot of CGI for some reason?
That's crazy. You went for that reference, huh? Panic Room?
What else am I meant to? I've got a great concept to follow up Aliens. I'm going to make it cubed.
Oh, that's clever. I'm gonna make Benjamin Button, okay?
He turned to his mum and he said, "Girl, you're gone."
Hey, Mum, Mank. And then she just fucking wailed on him. Wailed on him. It was
Mum, you ever considered who the real Zodiac killer was?
again, still wailing on him. Wailing on him.
Mum, I've got a curious case of Benjamin Button.
I would continue this bit. I just cannot for the life of me.
The killer.
Damn it, that was it. I couldn't remember what the fucking. Oh, we could have nailed it with then she killed him and go, now I'm the killer. See, we could have made that work, and yet that child in front of us gave us nothing.
Honestly,
Just like this film.
like Ryan Reynolds, so like John Krasinski is a scene partner, you're giving me nothing. You're giving me a mop with a face on it, and I'm not having it.
Do we think this was right for them to put in the marketing all these actors' names and then really have them have a line?
I guess it's fine.
I
don't
guess
know.
what kids jumping at the bit for Matt Damon. Like, I know Matt Damon, but I'm in my mid-20s.
Kids love The Martian. And honestly, the 1-2 punch of The Martian and Air blew their fucking minds.
They were kind of down for Last Duel, but then it bounced them back up with Air, huh?
They were simply, honestly, kids love Dogma, Air, The Martian, and Rounders. They love Rounders the most because of John
every
Malkovich.
kid under 18, look at their Letterboxd top 4, and it's those 4 movies.
It's those fucking 4.
Yeah.
They're all Damon heads.
Yeah.
Damon demons.
Really, the issue with who would watch this, I mean, I think Matt Damon haters, because I will be honest, there's not enough of him in the film.
They only love the krill part of Happy Feet 2.
They turn off the grill. They turn off Bill, because Brad Pitt...
Bill and Will, the
He
krill.
chews the scenery, Brad, in that
does.
movie. He chews the scenery, and he doesn't give enough for Matt.
We haven't seen Furiosa yet, but if they take an approach to Furiosa that has a lot of krill-esque shenanigans, that movie will be a hit, no doubt. It'll be a big hit. I can foresee it.
Carl, we're at the sort of ending point. They've figured out that ifs can't be just put to people. However, we have figured out that the scary bug one, played by Phoebe, is the grandma's if.
That's right.
This is riveting stuff. We are now also
We can
told...
see this because she's in the background of an image,
Yeah.
which is really terrifying.
Again, a lot of he's definitely a horror director. He's done
very
a lot...
insidious.
Yeah.
You know, when it's moved, it's like, oh my god, this woman's in the background of every fucking
Yeah,
image.
getting
as a
closer
child.
and closer. The bug's getting closer. Again, also establishes that this bug's 70 years old and lived in an attic. Cruel life. Their plan is, okay, we need to connect the ifs. We've already done it for Bluey. We're going to do it for you.
The mum's like, I've always wanted to be a dancer, but people just don't care about old women dancing.
Yeah.
And then we get this scene where they put on a record. And she walks out and she's like, nobody's around, so I'm just going to dance my little heart out.
Yeah.
And the bug character rises up and its wings come out, which I didn't know it had. It was kind of a frightening reveal.
It was a bit David Cronenberg, really. It just scraped its face back, really, like, pull out the wings, lost slime.
Some of the best body horror I've ever seen is this bug
John
becoming a
Krasinski
butterfly.
has somehow wrapped the greatest horror film in the world into this if box.
There'll be a YouTube cut that's like, if recut as a horror movie, and I bet it'll have like 500,000 views on YouTube.
Yeah.
We could do it. We could make it. We could make it right now.
We need the
Could
money.
stop anyway, this scene is really bizarre because I think as a kid you'd be so bored. All I kept thinking was, God, she was right. We do not want to see old women
No,
dance.
all the kids really in the audience went, switch off. Is that an old woman dancing? Get off! Get off the screen! Where's your youth? And it wasn't there.
The child in front of us went, Mum, I don't think I've ever liked Grandma, let alone this one in the film.
Yeah, this is another kid because that other kid got a bit too bit heavy. This was a third kid. He was just sort of going, Mum, very normal. I don't like the woman on screen. And that's all that had to be.
The mum nodded
Yeah.
in agreeance.
Yeah. Nothing silly about that. Just
Nothing
just
silly
a
about
normal
that.
interaction.
It was just a good, wholesome interaction between two people at our cinema.
Yeah,
But that scene, it goes for ages.
it does.
Ages. And what's enticing a child here? Is a child meant to be moved?
I don't know. I was like, oh, it had to be someone like in between an adult and a child that would be moved by this. I'm like, oh, teens aren't getting moved by this. If anything, they're going to hate this. This is revolting. I don't know. It's not even shot very interesting. It's just a static camera of her dancing and nothing. Like, give it a bit of something, a bit of oomph.
Yeah.
Anyway, the film goes, right, well, those are two ifs. We figured out that they can make them glow. So...
Can they be seen now? Is that maybe what the glow means? They can now be seen.
I think so, because then there's a montage at the end where other ifs get seen and glowed, and then they can see them for a hot second. But I think they're done.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Neither. I don't know what the glowing means.
No.
It means that, I guess... I don't know.
Because narratively, I mean, spoilers, at the end, Kaylee doesn't see any ifs because she's cured. So I don't know what the glowing would mean is if...
Is that the idea? She needed to be cured?
Well, of course. She's sad, and then she bummed out John Krasinski. She's like, all right, get the ifs. All right, you're done? Cool, let's go.
Imagine if it was just a harsh cut, like in Sucker Punch, and she was lobotomized due to this adventure.
You've been chatting a lot about Blue. Blue's a fun... It's just such a Fucking annoying character. You would have to.
That was actually the thing as well, is the ifs are really annoying. Especially the two that they pick. I don't think Steve Carell's if is endearing or enjoyable to be around at all, and I don't think Phoebe Waller-Bridge
God,
is
he's a
either.
fool. I feel like such a angry adult, but he was a foolish fool.
Yeah.
I did not care for him.
Someone who would enjoy his company.
No.
As a child, who would enjoy that if's company?
He's a bumbling, and he causes a scene a lot. And I just don't care for them.
He squeezed himself into tiny places, and I don't know how he did it.
No. Quite revolting.
He's so comedically large.
We're coming back around. That's why he shouldn't be in there. Oh, and the
But how'd he get in there?
The sniffles are pretty funny.
They never explain to you how he got in. But then the ifs must be real, because you see parts where they're like being held off the ground and floating.
Yeah. I don't know what. Are they in like a limbo state? I don't know where they are.
At the end of the movie, it's proved the ifs are real, and everybody in the world, I guess, can see their ifs again.
Yeah. Oh, everyone in the world?
I guess that's what it means, right? That they implying everyone got their ifs back?
I guess so. It seems like it would be a never-ending mission, because surely lots of kids are having imaginary friends, dropping them, and really it'd be a revolving door. And they have to cull them. They have to kill the
Here's
ifs.
the thing. I know for a fact that I had an imaginary friend.
Yeah.
I could not tell you who my imaginary friend was. I think I would hate to have them come back into my life. It's like if just your dead weight piece of shit friend from high school that you've blocked off comes crawling back into your life and is like, "Can I have money for gas?"
Yeah, I
And
can
you're
make you. Can you make me glow? Can you make me glow?
Kaylee Fleming said I had to come back and love you, and I'm like, "Oh, Kaylee, why? Send this one to Alan Kim."
I don't know what's sadder. I lied that I had an imaginary friend because I felt left out. That I didn't have an imaginary.
You were probably
friend.
just mentally well.
Yeah,
I just couldn't handle things.
Yeah, I was like, I guess I'll go hang out with my mates.
Yeah,
And
I
they were
guess
like-
I was probably just like, "Hey, friend, you want to be my friend?" And they were like, "No." And I went to watch an old black and white movie, and my parents were like, "You're a freak." And I was like,
Casablanca.
"Yeah." It was probably just like Roger Ebert was my imaginary friend, and I was like, "What did you think of that?" And he's like, 2 thumbs way down.
Honestly, the best bit would it be if like he did like what they do in like Godzilla. He has like 2 imaginary Roger Ebert and Siskel that John Krasinski's ifs, and going, "No, sir, this is a 1-star film. I wouldn't love this."
Yeah. Look, the movie also doesn't really come to a climax. All of a sudden, Kaylee comes home and the grandmother says, "We need to go to the hospital right now." We are not informed as to why. It's weird that we're not flat out said there were complications with the surgery.
Again, they kind of do it this sort of thing they do, like, again, spoilers for Succession, like episode 3, it just sort of comes out of nowhere. And you kind of have to go, that's a bold choice, and it works. Because I'm just like, whoa, Johnny Krasinski looked fucking well. What do you mean he's not going?
Yeah.
What do you mean he's not alive? And we go to the hospital, and he's lying in a bed, and he's got a little towel on his head.
I'm going to tell you right now, when we go to the hospital and John Krasinski's lying in his bed, he looks healthier than he did earlier in the movie. Looks like some rest did him well. Like, he's looking great.
He's looking spry. Those are the rosiest cheeks I've ever seen in my
Absolutely.
life. He's looking divine.
He's looking so goddamn colorful. I thought, Jesus, if I just had transplant, I wish I looked as healthy as he does on a daily basis after that character's meant to have had heart transplant surgery. He looked so fucking spry, I thought he was going to Grandpa Joe the shit out of that hospital room. The nurse then comes in after Kaylee Fleming's just been like, "I don't want to lose you. I need a story. I want to be a kid again."
This is the only time I think I kind of blanked out. It's probably the best acting, but just like it's asked a lot of her, and it's just like, phew, I don't think we needed this. It's a long monologue cry scene, and sort of just like sort of going, I guess age is the issue. Was that it?
I don't know.
It kind of throws like everything, like age and not remembering things and cherishing the ones you love and having an imagination. They chuck everything at you.
It was weird because the movie kept on being like, she's a kid, she shouldn't grow up. And it's like, your mum did pass away and your dad is really sick. And frankly, the dad probably needed an arc, which was like, I need to respect that my daughter has been through a lot and has actually been fast-tracked growing up.
Yeah.
Because if he was to die here, and he had acted that foolishly the entire fucking movie, what was her takeaway meant to be from his goddamn whimsy?
Yeah.
You know? Like, I think the movie's missing another beat and another arc for any other character.
Doesn't it feel like they've shaved off? Or also, real quickly, again, who would watch this? A little girl, bless her heart, when John Krasinski does Rise, was like, he's alive. That was
Grounded me in reality. That I
did.
went, oh, yep, this is a children's movie.
children's movie. Yeah,
There's some children
it
in here
wasn't
who
us
are
just
loving
smoking
it.
cigars, going, out. Where's the arcs? Where's the arcs? It made sense that woman, that little child, that hey, he was dead and now he's back in a big way.
Well, who are the arcs here? Because John Krasinski doesn't have an arc. Ryan Reynolds doesn't have an arc. Ryan Reynolds is an imaginary friend.
Ryan Reynolds is that he's like, oh, you weren't my imaginary friend, and now you remember me. And he's not really even that thrilled about it. He's like, I guess I'm done now. Blue doesn't get one. Man, no one really gets one.
And I couldn't understand because the reason you have an imaginary friend, right, is because you need a friend.
Yeah.
Kaylee Fleming's character is so fucking confident.
Oh, yeah.
She's walking around, she knocks on a door when she thinks she's seen a girl and is like, hey, can I just play with your little girl? I just came to New York City and I'm lonely.
Yeah.
That's so forward. She passes a hospital bed and Alan Kim's like, I just broke my leg. You want to chat? And she's like, hells yeah, I do. Here's a flower.
Yeah.
She's so outgoing. She seems like somebody who does not need an imaginary friend.
No. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think the problem with this like character is that they're pretty well-rounded like character. It feels weird. They're like, you have to grow up and you should be mourning and you've got to find a friend. It's like, make them more like flawed so then we can maybe relate to them. I guess kids would relate surely a bit more to this, but it's just kind of like a nothing blank and it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, I'm also like sick of this. I hate this dynamic. It's so lazy of being like the mom's dead and the dad's dying. It's so fucking lazy. I wish that they would do a more heightened.
What other film have you seen? What film?
Well, I mean, I just think it's lazy to just be like that kid's seen trauma because a parent died.
Yeah.
It's all the time. And I think one of the things that's really good about, say, Bridge to Terabithia is the fact that it's somebody young passing away.
Yeah.
And I wish that they would do situations that I think reflect children who are not exactly shown on screen. Like, I think it would be a more interesting thing if it was like her mom and her dad were separate and she's lived a long time with the dad and suddenly the mom wants custody.
Yeah.
That is because essentially she just needs to be thrust into a situation.
I feel like we watched, what's it called?
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Mrs. Doubtfire. But again, I feel like that, like, you go, wow, it's crazy they're actually doing this, like, so quite mature, like, divorce and all that sort of stuff. I think the producers or just someone, it just feels like it's so cookie cutter scraped off that you don't get any of that. And then you're kind of left with this just sort of nothing message, really.
My partner, because he is a child of divorce, has deeply always appreciated Mrs. Doubtfire because the parents didn't get back together at the end.
Yeah.
And he thought as a kid that he loved that it was just about those parents learning to co-parent.
Yeah. 100%.
And he said that made him feel really seen, but it also made him understand the situation.
Yeah.
Fantastic. He's always raved about that to me.
And that film made a fucking
That
load
movie
of
made
money.
like $1 billion in today's money. It made like $500 million in the 80s or the 90s. Like,
divorce sells. You get
yeah.
2 copies because you got to buy one for the mum, one for the dad. That's
violence, drugs, and divorce sells.
Oh, yeah. And If's got none of it.
None of it. Even the nurse comes in, though, and it's just like, what are you crying about? He's fine.
Yeah.
Who made the call to the grandma then to say, get here now? Like, I was like, what's the fucking
Pretty
point?
naughty if probably. Pretty naughty if. Probably a little phone call and, John's dead.
I would love the reveal that there's a character in the hospital calling up patients being like, your dad's dead, and hanging up. Like, just dialing every fucking number, just being like, get here now, your dad's dead, your mum's
it's
dying.
a slow hit rate, but when it hits, it hits.
There's a shooter at the hospital and they're hunting you. Like,
Carl, who would watch If?
This movie is one of the most underbaked, like, modern day films I think I've seen. It's got interesting broad strokes. It's got enough going on that it's like this movie at $110 million should be better.
Yeah.
Should be better written. Should have more character. The main downfall of this movie is it's not entertaining in the slightest.
Yeah.
It's really dramatic and a slog to get through. There's no comedy, really. There's no, like, fun Pixar-esque humor to all of these ifs. I wish we got to learn more. I wish we got to see more.
Yeah.
I wish they were out in the world more. It's really odd that they also saved the reveal of everybody seeing their if for the credits sequence.
Yes.
That seemed like a very bizarre choice, in my opinion.
Spread it out, because it feels like we'll get 2 pretty bland ones.
Yeah.
And then I guess just like, here's them all.
It's just very it's just really poorly put together.
Yeah.
And it's just a real shame because it is an original movie. It has $100 million budget, and it's coming out in a time when audiences don't really know what to go to the cinema for and what they feel like watching. And so you need all movies to be of a high quality.
Yeah, I feel like there is a bit of a hole when it comes to kids' films, pretty original kids' films.
At the moment.
And for it not to be a franchise, it does suck that it's just kind of nothing, really just nothing. I feel like, again, it just feels like this Mr. Megorian's Wonder Emporium. We already said it, but it feels like so much like that brought over. At least Mr. Megorium kind of had a bit of I feel like a plot. It got a bit messy at the end, but it's just so odd they didn't commit to one thing.
That's the thing. I wish this movie had committed to being like, we just want to do world building with imaginary friends and have just a fun time with that. And then maybe have a little bit of sentimentality at the end. And that would be good enough.
But it feels like they've gone, like, let's go for a bunch of focus guests. Let's see what we've got a lot of footage. We can figure it out. And it feels like they kind of went, right, we've got all the notes. It doesn't make sense, but, like, numbers-wise, we actually made a good film.
Yeah.
And they've gone, release it. And they go, okay, it did well testing. And it's just sort of, it just feels so corporate, like, tweaked around to the point that it's not good. It's not a functional film, but it must, like, just tap into, like, you know, the psyche of, like, this works technically.
So, yeah, I mean, if I had to say it was for anyone, I think it would be for people who watch The Office and they don't laugh, but they enjoy when Jim looks at the camera.
Yeah.
But no other sense of comedy, just when Jim looks at the camera.
I'm a big fan of that, so yeah, no, this film was for me. This film really was for me.
You did love
I
it.
like when he looks at the camera, because I kind of go, yeah,
Is
man.
he looking at me?
Well, he's looking at me, and I kind of go, Jim, this is a pretty ridiculous situation. I don't think I'm on board. And he looks at me and goes, I'm glad someone else can see what I'm seeing. This is not right. This is off.
This movie is actually for just... Let's just say it, all right? Some people produce children who are really boring. They're going to love this film.
Damn, okay, shit.
They're going to love it.
That's a crazy thing. If your child lacks an imagination, and I really mean,
yeah,
like,
they're gonna be like, oh, that's what it looks
but
like.
doesn't this feel like someone who doesn't have
an imagination?
He goes, well, this is what you crazy kids think about all day, huh? You're always thinking about Blobby and the banana one. Ah.
It's like John Krasinski went to therapy, and the therapist was like, yeah, but I mean, come on, it's like you, like, I don't know, remember back to the time that you had an imaginary friend, and John Krasinski was like, oh, yeah. And then the therapist was like, you had an imaginary friend, right?
Yeah.
And John Krasinski was like, yeah, I did. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Look at the script I've written. I definitely had an imaginary friend.
Big purple fella. He was played by Steve Carell.
And he was blue.
And he was blue. He was blue. Yeah, it feels like if you don't have an imagination and you want to see what I guess a cartoon idea of an imagination is, this is for you. You know, check it out. That or I don't know. Yeah, The Quiet Place 2. Yeah, if you got kids, it's kind of 50-50 of which one they'll like.
If you actually enjoy the joke, the purple big guy being called blue, then the movie's for you.
Yeah,
if that joke actually lands for you, the movie's for you.
Yeah.
Oscar, what are we reviewing next week?
Carl, Chicka Chicka Wild Wild West.
The best. Desperado. Yeah, rough rado. Yeah, you don't want natto. I don't know if those are really the lyrics, but, you know.
Yeah, we get the vibe.
Sound.
It's Wild Wild West,
It's the Wild Wild West
Will
time.
Smith, I'll say it, he's back in our hearts. I'm ready to open up with big arms.
Bad Boys for Life's coming out, and everybody's forgiven him.
He's a soul. He's a saint, okay? Let him be.
That man's never slapped a fly, let alone whatever character that guy played in Madagascar.
He was a
zebra.
A zebra. He has slapped a zebra pretty hard.
Marty!
In front of a big audience. I'm talking to a lot of people. Anyway, Will Smith classic Wild Wild West. Check it out.
It's back in a big way.